if you were going to create another business today, we're going to create an imaginary business since it's not yours, how would you start the business? What would you focus on?
That's a good question. It's that you can't just focus on one and not the other. I mean, the reality is, your customers need to have great content.
Mm-hmm.
You need to have a phenomenal user experience that if you can get a customer to either download your app or come to your service, that they actually find something they want to watch and they enjoy it and they come back again. So you need great content, a great user experience. Marketing is fundamental. I mean, with Redbox, we have 40 million people who use Redbox every year in the US. So we have a really nice platform from which to build services around. If you didn't have that, it can get tricky. But we're fortunate enough to have actually a really loyal fan base or customer base that they come to us for a variety of things. The one thing that I would add, though, that I wouldn't say often gets left out, but is in some ways more important than any of them, is distribution.
Mm-hmm.
You need to be on all the major devices, or as many of them as you can within reason. Obviously, looking at your technology and resource constraints. Because frankly, if you're not on Roku, what is that? 53 million or so accounts, on Roku alone. If you're not on that, you're missing out on a massive chunk of the market. So, great content and great marketing and a phenomenal experience are really important. But you got to get it in front of a customer's eyes, and that means being on smart TVs and set-top boxes, as well as obviously your traditional mobile and web. But for us, it's all about the 10-foot experience and those smart devices.
Okay. And what about the rest of you in terms of the smart TV and the distribution? I mean, to me, I hear what Chris is saying about you have to be on everything and you need to be able to support. But say you're running this imaginary business, so it's not one of yours. But what if you can't do everything? What's the best strategy for you if you're going to run the business? Gene, what you're thinking imaginary business. What would you do?
Well, I mean, if I had my pick, it would be all of the top popular platforms. So smart TV, it was an area, honestly, I was surprising in terms of how well they are doing. But then if you think about it, it's like it shouldn't be surprising because it's so easy that you can get a TV and out of the box connected to the internet, and then you have access to all this content. You don't have to buy a stick. You don't have to plug in a set-top box or anything like that. Outside of that, it's the big platforms. So Roku, Amazon Fire, Android, and Apple TV. And I think if you were to just stop there, you'd probably get 80 to 90% of the market right there.
Okay, very good. In fact, our business is doing well in that sense. Damian, what were you going to say?
But you really have to, I think, separate like third party as well as direct to consumer, right? Mm-hmm. So direct consumer being that you're managing and you're operating that whole user experience and you own, or at least have the most access of ownership to the tech stack. But then, playing out on FAST and AVOD with services like Frequency and Amagi and Zumo to be able to reach the greatest possible audience, which like they were saying before, Samsung and Roku channel being, such a big beast in the market. Revry exists on over 50 platforms, only 5 of which are owned and operated by us, right? Our direct to consumer. Those 45 are essentially the places where we're getting the most point of discovery and monetizing at a much higher field, because we don't have the Disney or the Redbox yet, like marketing dollars to get in there, but eventually we'll get there.